And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our speaker for session 2, Sharanya Iyer. I would love to say that Sharanya, like with your permission. So it's been a great association, and your knowledge has been, whatever you share has been of great input to our audiences at various platforms. I would like to introduce Sharanya. Sharanya Hire is TPM at Twitter. I request Sharanya to introduce, like, because she has a slide which where she want to share about her journey, and a graduate from University of Maryland College Park. She is currently situated at San Francisco. She graduated in December 2019 with Masters in Information Systems from Robert H. Smith School of Business, and that's what brings Sharanya here to this platform to share her knowledge about technology management. She holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering, and she has been, the pioneer woman who initiates a lot of activities towards women tech makers. She has led the Women Tech Makers program by Google for its Bangalore chapter, which is a program that provides visibility, community, and resources to women in technology. She has been one of the founding members of Hexagon UX Bangalore chapter, which is a non-profit aimed to empower and support women and non-binary folks in UX through community events and mentorship. She has been one among 20 recipients worldwide for TEDx Change Scholarship by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for her work as a curator and organizer of TEDx MSRIT. This is what connects Sharanya with us because here at TEDx ABBS we do host TEDx events in our institution, and Sharanya was of great support for us 2 years ago when we wanted to start this. She guided us through the licensing process, and today, whatever we are like, I would just like to extend that gratitude to Sharanya. Sharanya has also been one of the youngest committee members for the Grasshopper Celebration Conference India, GHCI, which is popularly known as India and USA, which is a celebration of women in technology. She has also curated a Lit Fest for the youth of Bangalore with Under 25 Lit Fest 2016. She loves to spend her free time traveling into some wilderness, trying out a new cuisine, or getting lost amidst pages of an engrossing book. So, whenever I talk to Sharanya, usually I ask her, like, what was the travel plan, or sort of things, or what is that you're reading recently. And I see some of her posts where she'll be like with a book. So welcome, Sharanya. Welcome for the second session of Acharya Bangalore B School AICTE sponsored ATAL FDP on technology management. Thank you for being there, Sharanya. Sharanya has joined us from San Francisco, and I know, like, being there after your office hours should be really tiring. Thank you for being there, Sharanya. Welcome for the session. Over to Sharanya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jiva ma'am. I must mention that uh, amidst the world that we are in today, after the pandemic has hit us, coming over to this platform and doing all this virtually takes so many challenges. It includes, like, I mean, probably bad connectivity sometimes between us, and we can't hear. And despite all these challenges, I see that Dr. Jiva ma'am and team ABBS has literally left no stone unturned in making this a very smooth event. So I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and for all the kind words that you have shared, and on behalf of all the participants for putting this together today. Starting off, hello everyone. I'm talking about the impact of information technology on information systems and its impact on decision making, as well as we'll see some examples with business today. And I must confess that I'm slightly nervous because it was not so long ago that I was in classrooms and I am addressing academicians today. But thank you so much for this opportunity. And taking that as an excuse, I'm going to share that I'm not going to do all the talking today, and it's not going to be a monologue. So I definitely request your cooperation in making this an enriching discussion, and some housekeeping. Whenever you want to share something, please unmute your mic and share the information or contribute in this discussion. Otherwise, please do use the chats as well to voice out your thoughts, your opinions, or something that you want to share. So starting off, here is an overview of how we are going to be doing the session today. We are going to start with introduction, as well as I know we had a lot of takeaways from the previous session by Dr. Rajesh sir. I found a lot of it very, very useful for me. So we'll have a slight quizzing before we kick that off. And also we're going to go next to overview of information systems and impact of technology on decision making. We're going to see a case study of Target, how that happens, industry example, as well as leveraging information strategy. This is going to be slightly interesting for sure. And then we're going to see a case study of predictive analytics and how we're going to use it in today's world. And we're going to conclude it with question and answer. It's definitely going to include a lot of discussion, so please contribute to this. Going to the next slide, this is a bit about me. I am a technical program manager at Twitter. I go by the pronouns she and her. If you want to reach out to me, this is my email address. I'm there on LinkedIn, and I do respond to messages if you have anything to share. I just want to request everyone to turn off the microphone if that's okay. Thank you so much. And I go by this Twitter handle as well. So adding a persona into this personality, I want to share my journey. I started off with BE in computer science in Ramaiah Institute of Technology in Bangalore. And as Dr. Jiva ma'am mentioned, I took up with my passion for creating conversations or presenting ideas that matter, and which I share that passion with Dr. Jiva ma'am. I got to start this TEDx forum for that university and was recognized by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and got to represent my community in TED Women Conference 2016 here in San Francisco. And also got to be part of the Grace Hopper celebration India with my interest in representing diversity and technologies and making these voices be heard in that space, as well as with my passion for books and literature. I got to curate the Under 25 Lit Fest in Bangalore. After graduating, I was a product developer at a startup and also took up the role of a software engineer at a multinational corporation. And as they say, variety is the spice of life. I was just not happy with the day job. I wanted to do something more and go beyond. So I led the program for Women Tech Makers for Google for its Bangalore chapter, as well as started Hexagon UX, was one of the founding members for its Bangalore chapter. And I identified my need for expanding my horizon and learning more. I felt like I wanted to know more about business and management technology. So I did my master's in University of Maryland College Park with Robert H. Smith School of Business. And now I am TPM at Twitter. Thank you, everyone, for listening to that. So here's the quiz time. Here is where I request you to bring into this discussion. So from the previous session that you heard, can any one of you share what does technology mean to you? Or this could be a personal account of what impact it has made to you or what it has been so far. And I see how the landscape of technology has changed so much ever since we have changed into this virtual world after the pandemic has taken over. Um, Please feel free to turn off your mics or share it in the chat here. Any volunteers out here?
Hi, Sharanya, myself Kalyani.
Hello, ma'am.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for
It's great to.
volunteering.
Oh, no problem. It's great to have you here from ABPS and not taking much time. I think technology has been a part of human life ever since the invention of wheel, evolution of wheel, because the way I see technology is less interference of human to do with any kind of work, thus making time more available. And if I align to that, probably it was there much more before, but we have adapted what multiple to reach that. And with every passing year, we have only improved. And now is the time where it's gone way beyond us. And the only thing, only gap I feel is, security. We are not growing at the same pace of handling security and other related issues as technology. That is my take.
I request Atul Bhargava to mute yourself. Participants, please, because this is an interactive session and do not disturb, kindly mute yourself. Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am. Sorry. Kalyani, ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, what I was telling was technology, I feel, was always a part of a life ever since the evolution of wheel. I say so because the way I see technology is anything where there is less human interference, any work that could be achieved or performed with less human interference can be termed as technology. And by doing so, it makes the limited resource time more available to the human. In that way, we have progressed a lot over all these years, centuries. But the only thing we are missing is catching up on the pace of security issues, threat related issues, because technology is growing 5 times, 5 folds. And today, during Rajesh sir's session, we heard that 5G is the most happening one. But have we really grown up to an extent where we can handle the issues that come along with this technology? Those are the cons, the security threat related issues. I don't think we have made much progress on that. So the cycle will be complete only when we can handle both the pros and cons. That is what is technology to me. Thanks for the
I I think Kalyani ma'am, you're on the right way. Like we created teams and we wanted everything to be streamlined, automated, but it is like we completely understand. We did not expect this. All of a sudden, we are all pushed to the tech platforms, and it's taking time for us. And right now, the only reason why we created user ID and password is the security issues, because we didn't want external people to join, and we wanted to automate the process. We understand session one and session two. You said it doesn't complete the cycle. That's absolutely right. As long as everybody moves on to that platform, or that shift happens. I don't mean MS Teams platform. I'm talking about a tech platform. It would still be the same. I completely agree with you, and thank you for that point. I think
no
Sharanya, we
problem.
can go ahead with the session,
Yes. Thank you so much,
please.
Kalyani ma'am and Dr. Jiva ma'am. I found that I loved how you drew parallel and then started about with the invention of wheel, and you got that exactly right. It's been there from time immemorial, ever since like mankind started, literally. Um, so going over, those were very, very interesting nuggets. I would like to share this interesting hierarchy of needs, which is actually brought over by Abraham Maslow, and it's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So
Sharanya, you need to move the slide. You
yes,
are still in technology slide. Please go
thank you,
ahead.
ma'am. Thank you for that. So what Maslow says here is we as humans, we have five basic categories of needs, which is the physiological needs, which talks about food, shelter, sleep. That is literally how we say the roti kapda makan thing. So that's about it. The second is safety, love, and those psychological elements to it. And then he goes on to the next category, which is about belonging, self esteem. And the last one comes self actualization, which comes in creativity as well as purpose. With the world that we have moved into today, I think the first thing that comes is Wi Fi. I don't know how many of you would agree with it, but I definitely feel lost without Wi Fi at some point of time, whether I'm navigating or I'm in some corner of the world, or if I want to know what is good in a particular location and the food that I want to explore, or if I want to see a place. So I second this theory of Wi-Fi being added to this hierarchy of needs as the most basic need. Going on, as Kalyani ma'am said, with the continuously changing technology and how rapidly it's evolving from day-to-day basis. So we started off literally with industrial revolution as one of the major milestones and initial footprint of technology growing, where mass manufacturing was happening and industrial powerhouses was successful. And to name a few of the companies at that time, Ford, RCA, Boeing, P&G, and Sony literally started off at this period. It was between 1900s to 1960s. Then we went on to the age of distribution, which is all about global connections and transportation systems and having the distribution key. And some of the major well-known organizations that started around then was Walmart, UPS, Toyota, CSX. And to be very specific, this was between 1960s to 1990s. And then we went on to the age of information. So this is when we connected PCs and supply chains came into picture. And then that was about those who control information flow dominated. And some of the well-known examples would be Amazon, Comcast, E-Trade, American Express, and this was when Google came into the picture. So that was between 1990s and 2010. And today we are in the age of customer, where power comes from engaging with empowered customers, as we can see with Facebook, IBM, Best Buy, Apple, and whatnot. So this landscape of technology is literally changing from day-to-day basis. Moving over to the next one, it is how technology is changing business landscapes. Would anyone volunteer to sort of contribute to this conversation to say how technology has fueled globalization? Any example of your choice?
Yeah, Kalyani, once again, the very fact that you are sitting in San Francisco and I'm here in Bangalore, India, and the way
Yes.
we are talking and we are sharing the platform itself stands as an example, I guess.
Absolutely, and you got that bang on. So that's exactly how technology has fueled globalization. We have redefined the concepts of software and computing. I think the earliest, hints or impression of computer started with the abacus. That was a calculator invented somewhere in China, and today we have these PCs to mobiles to microcomputers and whatnot. And coming to the next point, we have crushed costs. I think when the mainframe systems came into existence, it costed so much, which was literally not affordable. So it was probably affordable by some of the corporates or giants out there, but not like people like us. So, and today a phone, almost everyone has a phone in their hand. So that's how even the price market has changed over time. And also data driven decision making. We have someone who says how AI has also come into being and changed the world. That's absolutely right. And anyone who wants to contribute and give an example of how technology has changed and fueled data driven decision making?
Uh, Good morning. This is Sendil.
Good morning, sir.
Uh, I'll just
So
give
please
just one
introduce
sentence.
yourself, which
Yeah,
institute you are
ma'am.
from, so that others will
Okay.
also will know. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Myself, Sendil. I am from Acharya Institute of Technology, sister concern of ABBS, right? From Bangalore. First question you asked about technology. I can say the time taken for a big change in India over 100 years that has happened in the past 10 years because of technological advancement. One thing.
Yes.
Second thing, how this data, especially using through artificial intelligence, I can tell Amazon knows what I'm going to purchase in the next few months or next few purchases through the past data, whatever the purchase is based on this, it comes to a conclusion. Again,
Yes.
is a good example.
I would like to add a point, Sharanya. Like, I have my sister who got a smartphone. I think some 3 4 years ago,
Yes.
and this is something where I was surprised that day when she came inside and she just took the clothes what she had put in the washing machine, and she came out and she's like, "Hey Google, will it rain today?" And I am like, "What's happening?" And she's like, "No, I have to put the clothes outside and go out. So I just want to know whether it will rain at 2 p.m."
Yes.
I was, like seriously, and she is a typical housewife who stays at home and does house chores. And sometime when she wanted to go, she is depending upon an information system to make a decision, and that was something fantastic.
Yes.
Today, she uses Google Maps for traveling and payment interfaces, but she doesn't know anything technical side. But she can tell like this is comfortable, this is not comfortable. Those are her words.
Yes. Thank you,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
That's a good.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm Tirupati.
Good morning. I'm Madhukar Saxena from Bhopal. I'm working with Institute of Professional Education and Research. Adding on to this thing that my mother-in-law, she never used to have the mobile and apps, using the apps basically.
Mhm.
But she got a gift from the daughter,
Mhm.
new mobile phone, and she started using it, and now she is on the phone the entire day. So this
Uh-huh.
is a good example that an old person who was not tech savvy has started using the mobile phone because of the convenience and the technology and the apps. It's so easy to use these things because of that she is using at the age of 76.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think Sandil sir also has raised his hand. Sharanya, while you
Yes, ma'am.
talk
Good
to
morning.
Tirupati
I'm
sir.
Tirupati. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Good morning. I'm Tirupati. I'm from ABBS from in UG. Ma'am, now the changing of technology, especially in India,
Mhm.
after the demonetization in mobile wallets and all, it's playing a vital role, especially for making the cashless payment and all. And one
Yes.
more thing for artificial intelligence, while coming to the banking sector, means now uh, upcoming the thing is maximum artificial booming in the banking sector, as well as some of the Indian business organizations also they are following the artificial intelligence. In future, maximum it's fully depends on AI only. Most of the
Absolutely.
business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. That is true. Probably there are certain controversial theories which say that tomorrow the world would probably be ruled by bots and AI is going to drive this world. I hope not, but hopefully we get to use the benefits of this and then continue with probably the humans taking over most of the things. Um,
Thank
and
you.
thank you, sir. I guess Uh, Makarand Ramesh sir did also talk about Uber being one of the examples, and Atul Bhargava sir said telemedicine, and these are wonderful examples. And also Pradeep Singh sir says using technology now farmers can connect to professionals and agricultural university. So true, and I think technology could probably be the power which drives people and which probably gives them the information to like continue with their day-to-day lives. Yes, Kalyani ma'am.
Yeah, just wanted to add one more thing on a larger perspective, country level. The very mission, that Chandrayaan mission, which was launched, probably that is one of the examples for data-driven decision making based on artificial intelligence, because
Yes.
landing on the moon, which was not done before,
Yes.
and with all kinds of data we had, and the kind the ISRO has made calculations and tried for a soft launch itself can be appreciated, and shows how India has come far away from where it started. Not only that, but the current launch of Rafale into Indian defense system also speaks a lot about that, because Rafale itself is based on artificial intelligence. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Absolutely. Not just Earth, but we are all set to go out to space and take it over. Thank you for that. So yes, I guess we have explored and we have seen how technology can be, it's some of its facets can be explored in various aspect of the world that we are in today. And also, as I remember Kalyani ma'am mentioning about raising privacy and security concerns. So there have been so many episodes of data breach, identity thefts, which has not been great, in the sense that the results of which have not gone on well. It could have some serious impacts, but I guess we are exploring that dearth in cybersecurity that we can fill up and move towards a world which can be more safe. Moving on to the next slides, we have three dimensions of business. So, as how we spoke about the changing landscape of technology and in business, we can see that we have, like, in order to get our entire company or organization working to its greatest potential, we need to integrate these three solutions. That is, empower and align people, processes, and tool. Just as this a picture that you see, it says organizational empowerment, people empowerment, technology, and the tools that we have today. And we see that technology is also a catalyst for social change. That this change is both good as well as bad. And with the change that is good, like we are conversing here today, I guess, be it whichever part of the world, we can, it's literally in our fingertips that we can connect to people. So there is the distance or physical location can be no bar in connecting people together. So I guess a decade ago, it was just starting with text messages or instant messages or chat rooms. And today we have like plethora of apps and tools taking over us today. While I spoke about how this has been, like, it has created some of negative impacts, I guess working in a social media company, I don't really advocate for this, but everything has its own good or bad. So this talks about one of the episodes where fake Russian Facebook accounts took over so many ads, political ads, and it sort of contributed in the political scenario, which can sometimes be disastrous. So there are good as well as bad to it. Hopefully, we take the best and we go ahead. And let's see impact of technology in decision making. Uh, so let's see this diagram. Observe this carefully. If we see the bottom up approach, it starts with operational management, tactical management, as well as strategic management. So operational management level here includes certain decision making which is structured. For example, this level is concerned with performing day-to-day business transaction of the organization. So let's take users at this level of management, which includes probably cashiers at a point of sale, bank tellers, nurses in a hospital, customer care staff, etc. So users at this level use and make structured decisions. So this means that they have defined rules that guide them while making decisions. To give you an example, if a store sells items on credit and they have a credit policy for it. So that has some set limit on borrowing. All the salespersons needs to decide whether to give credit to a customer or not is based on the current credit information from the system. So these rules or these limit is already set by the senior management or by the organizational guide. So next level that we see is tactical management level. So here the organization level is dominated by middle level managers, which is head of department, supervisors. The users at this level usually oversee the activities of the user at the operational management level. So here tactical users make semi-structured decision. That is, decisions are partly based on set guidelines and judgmental calls. So to give you an example, again here, a tactical manager can check the credit limit as well as the payment history of a customer and then use their good judgment to make an exception whether to raise the credit limit for a particular customer. So the decision is partly structured. That is, in the sense that the tactical manager has to use existing information to identify a payment history. So that benefits the organization and an allowed increase percentage. So going to the last level, that is the strategic management level, this is mostly the senior level in the organization. That is, the user at this level makes unstructured decision, wherein the senior level managers are concerned with long-term planning of the organization, and they use information from tactical managers and external data to guide them when making unstructured decisions. For example, while the pandemic was hitting, all of a sudden we had to transform into this virtual world. So it was probably the decision on the go where these organizations had to make to say that one day, yes, we will switch into like all these VC platforms, that is the virtual conferencing platforms, to run the business. So that could possibly be another example to support this structure. So let's see technology as a global force. So here, technology is contributing to rapid shifting global power. I guess I wanted to ask a question, but I think the answer is already here. So China is in fact one of the leading global technology drivers in today's world. So they have, while they started ago, it was probably even a century ago, as a nation, largely, they were completely offline. But today, China has more internet users, as I mentioned, than any other country in this world. So the world's, I mean, again, I'm sorry, the answer is already here. The world's second most internet users comes from India. So here, in 2 decades, India's tech sector has grown from almost nothing to a $120 billion industry. India's TCS, that is Tata Consulting Services, is the world's second largest technology solutions firm. And second in size is it's only to IBM. And coming back to China, China had WeChat. I think Dr. Rajesh sir did mention about this tool in the previous session. It is owned by China's Tencent. And this saw 4 times more payment transactions over Chinese New Year in 2016. PayPal is another tech giant which other countries use, and it was much lesser than what PayPal, much more, than what PayPal did in 2015. It was 420 million Chinese who used WeChat for payment over the holiday. So China has spectacularly launched several publicly traded internet firms, including Baidu. Baidu is like Google, but it is only for the Chinese folks, and it only works in China. And Tencent and Alibaba, the largest IPO of all time. So interestingly, Google and other platforms like probably YouTube or Facebook is not allowed in China, and they rule what is it that people can use. So I guess they have an equivalent to all these popular platforms, like Baidu replaces Google, Alibaba replaces Amazon. I guess if you have to look into the Chinese market, whenever you have time, I certainly do encourage that. It is pretty interesting. Going over to the next. So Steve Jobs said, "It can make things happen." And I must say that I stole this from Dr. Jiva ma'am, and that I've heard her
Just change the
mention before.
slide, Sharanya.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Yes. So I've heard her use this quote, and I am going to probably steal this quote here. And Steve Jobs said, "It."
Oh, the slide has not changed yet.
Uh,
You are in slide view.
Sorry about that, ma'am.
We had this problem with the previous presenter also. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
now it's moving.
okay,
I
perfect.
think it goes still if we don't move it for some time. It happened with Dr. Rajesh also. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. That's very helpful. So Steve Jobs said, "It can make things happen." So with it he meant IT, that is information technology. So uh, with that, what I'm coming to this point is that we have about 2.87 million apps on the Play Store and 1.96 million apps on the iOS store. So I I guess these apps literally rule our everyday lives. For example, if I have to call a service here, that one particular app that I can think of is Thumbtack, or I guess we have Urban Lad, Urban Clap, or some of these popular applications there, where you can do almost from plumbing services to housekeeping services to anything that you can think of today. So this, I guess, is quite an interesting example as to how information technology has penetrated to every little aspect of our lives today. And the next picture that I put in the slide here is people are crowding here to buy an iPhone. So when I also elaborate on this point of it can make things happen, we can see that a product like iPhone, which is like, which you can say basically you can make calls over a phone. Almost everyone has a phone today, but what makes iPhone different is it's a product of luxury, or it has come to that being a status symbol. For example, if someone says I have an iPhone 12, I'm sure like it also gives a lot of characteristics. So it's just beautiful as to how this little piece of technology can really go into diverse aspects of our lives today. So coming to the role of technology again, information technology is transforming businesses, of course, in the terms of how they run. For example, I did have friends and family who switched to buying groceries online during this pandemic because they feared going out, and then buying it in person could possibly affect them. And how online grocery has been a growth market, I mean, one of the emerging markets over this time that the pandemic has taken over. And that is pretty interesting to note, that how technology is penetrating into different business structure and models as well. And also, it is changing the nature of work and structure of firms. So, not so long ago, we were in a world where we had office spaces and we could interact with people in person. And today, I guess within a matter of days or hours, we just switched into a world which is virtual. So we can see that example here, as well as information technology transforming business models. So how many of you remember the time where we used to apply to jobs seeing newspaper ads, or probably seeing these brochures like which mentions about job opening? I think Tirupati sir and has a point to make, and then we'll go over to Kalyani ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, ma'am, you are mentioning a IT model, that means information technology model.
Yes,
So maximum we are used to adopt the TAM model, technology acceptance model,
yes,
which we can extended UTUAT model, that means universally accepted model.
Yes.
So how it's going to apply in the Indian business? Okay, because the TAM models as well as UT model and all, it
Yes.
can be applicable in the other countries like US, UK and all. But
Yes.
how that model it's going to be applied for our Indian business?
Can you throw more example on this, sir? Like when you mentioned Indian business, do you have specific examples or specific case that you want to talk about?
No, not specific cases, ma'am. I'm just asking about the models.
Sharanya, can we just push the questions towards end, because I think you have two cases where you were mentioning you wanted to discuss.
Yes.
So
Thank you, ma'am.
probably it will answer. If not, again you can take the question. I will make a note of this question and I'll come back. So he's trying to ask about TAM model. Yeah,
Got
I'll
it.
remind you. Please go ahead.
Thank you,
It's
ma'am.
12:15 now.
Yes.
So just keep a note on time too.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
please go ahead.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh, Thank you, sir. I will, as ma'am said, we will probably discuss about question and answers. We have a slot for it. We'll go ahead with the presentation. Um, so as I was saying, while we were talking about newspaper ads for jobs, we had recruitment companies and agencies which came in later, and now we have tools like LinkedIn where you can literally get connected to people and apply for jobs. So that's we can see a major transition in how things work and how structure of business is changing. So let's see overview of information systems. So let's try to draw a parallel between information technology and information systems. So these are two different terms, and then they sometimes they're used in a context and it's just interchange of words, but it has some distinction to it. So information technology is a computer technology. It could be hardware, it could be software, and for processing or storing information, or it could also be communication technology like voice and data networks for transmitting information. Whereas information systems is an organizational unit or department that has primary responsibility for managing IT. If I have to give you an example, let's say that we have a device which is probably a microchip that is used. So that is a technology, whereas there is an organization that manufactures it. So that is information systems. Uh, and to talk more about, to probably dive deep and give you like an elaborate example of it, information systems, it includes people, it includes processes, it includes tools, networks, software, hardware, data, and then together it forms information systems. And probably the product that comes out of it is the technology that we get today. So what does this role of information systems have to do? So it has number of vital components, and some of it is tangible or intangible. Like tangible components that I mean is something which you can see, which you can probably feel, and it could be probably personal in nature as well. So whereas, and some of them are intangible, which is a lot conceptual and you make sense out of it as a whole. So where here you can use components that collect, store, organize, and distribute data throughout the organization. So that talks about more about the tangible part of it. As well as technology has developed and this role has evolved into the backbone of the organization, where making it makes the information systems integral to virtually almost every business that we have today. Uh, I have a slide which will probably take you through its evolution, which will make it a little more simpler in understanding. We started out with the mainframe era, and all then I'm not sure if you're able to see that. Let me adjust this view. Yes, we started out with the mainframe era, and then we moved out to PCs. It was in the mid 1980s. Then we had client servers with IBM PC clone that was coming in. And then we went to the WWW, the World Wide Web, internet, which came in the mid 90s to early 2000s. It was just emerging. And later came the Web 2.0 that we have today. And like the tangible aspect of it is we see laptops that is connected to Wi-Fi. And then we went to the post PC era, which was smartphones. So you have smartphones on the iOS and Android ecosystems today. So going next over to impact of technology on decision making. Let's see this. Probably I would want to throw light on a case study, which will help us understand this concept better. So talking about this, Target is basically a retailing firm. So it was incorporated in 1962, and it started off as a general merchandise seller, and it had all kinds of products. It started with offline store in particular, and now they have come into an online model. So some of its competitors are Walmart, Amazon, Costco, Flipkart, eBay, and whatnot. We have plethora of it today. Seeing its business model, so it has operation and marketing component of it, which is retail stores, which also acts as its distribution centers. And we have push marketing strategy that they use here. So push marketing strategy is basically a promotional push strategy, which is a strategy that refers to firms which attempts to take its products to consumers, and they're literally pushing them onto it. To make it simpler, that is, they probably offer discounts on products so that a lot of consumers start taking view of it, and then they buy the product. And then going to the next part, they have customer relation. That probably includes the youth and college students that they could probably connect to. And women, they have a segment for women in their Target stores. And service and support, as well as they also make use of coupon, gift cards, and loyalty programs. And coming to the next aspect of this model is their revenue models. So they use discounts, they have retail stores, now they have online channels as well, and they have catalogs and interest on Target. They have launched Target debit and credit card to make it more attractive for customers to buy in. So in terms of targeting and segmentation of this business model, it focuses on the youths, students, and adult women in some of its focus points. And they also have robust and popular customer support, which whose service policies helps customer increasing loyalty and engagement. So Target is known to have the highest sales of retail gift cards in the country. If I have to compare these retail stores, it differentiates itself by discounting upscale products. So in the recent years, Target has supplemented its retail revenue with online channels. So Target is popular for their unique catalog, debit card, and credit card, which keeps Target's brand image modern and well positioned compared to its competitors there. Switching over to the presenter's view. Thank you for that. So we see digital revolution of Target Corporation from like its IT enterprise strategy, customer relation, and materials that requiring planning. So here, decentralized to centralized decision making in terms of their enterprise. And they also focus on developing software which is in-house. So they don't outsource it to third parties or external vendors. And they use the ruthless prioritization approach. They use the agile model of software development. Coming to customer relationship, they have aggressive data mining of customer interaction. We can also see a very interesting example going ahead. And they leverage customers' information to provide personalized recommendation. And they also use these loyalty cards. They acquire information from other sources as well. In terms of their materials planning, they have they've modernized their supply chain by integrating their store and digital inventories. So their stores are now for serving as miniature fulfillment centers. So they have larger ones for the online aspect of it. And they have store team members who can help guests buy online and then they have bots to for the IT rescue as well as network upgrade. And as I said, let's see an interesting example of how they leverage their data mining and predictive analytics here. Please let me know if you are able to hear the audio.
Yes.
Okay.
It's going good.
Thank you, ma'am.
So did you know this? Stores tracking your every move, well, may have finally taken it too far. Target's advanced advertising system even knew about a teenage girl's pregnancy before she could break the news to her own father. And he found out when the store sent her maternity deals in the mail. This story now sparking debate over whether companies' marketing techniques are going too far. Eric Siegel is an expert in predictive analytics, the same technique stores like Target use. And Art Kaplan, the director of the Center for Bioethics at the University of Pennsylvania. They're my guests to debate this morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, so Eric, let me start with you since you deal in this type of thing. So how did Target know that this teen was pregnant?
That's actually not what happened. This New York Times article is misleading. It clearly implies that Target has the sort of supernatural ability to accurately predict who is pregnant and who isn't. But the fact is that generally this kind of work doesn't have accurate prediction. And companies can gain a whole lot by just predicting better than guessing. It's not medical diagnosis, not based on medical information. And the story about the teenage pregnant girl whose father found out through Target, it's implied in this article that that's connected to their work trying to predict pregnancy using this predictive technology, but that's only an implication, and the source of that particular anecdote is not given.
So Art, I guess the argument here is that she probably shopped at Target and she was buying things that might lead you to believe that she was pregnant, and Target tracks that. And so then they send her coupons and deals based on what she's already purchased. Do I have it correct?
Exactly. So whether they're making a good guess, they basically watch your shopping habits and think, oh, you're buying diapers, you're buying this and that, maybe you need some more diapers. And all of a sudden coupons are arriving, and anyone in the family obviously can see those coupons and wonder, why are we getting this stuff all of a sudden?
Mm-hmm. So what problem do you have with this kind of technology and this predictive analytics, Art?
So if you go and look, I mean, in one sense, we're all responsible. We sign the waiver. There's always some gobbledygook that's on the website, for example, with these bonus cards and honor cards. But I actually went, stimulated by this Target story, to sites that sell liquor and ammo and fatty foods and other things. The privacy protections are a joke. They don't really tell you what they do to protect your privacy about your shopping habits. They can sell this information to other companies. They basically, in a sense, ask you to waive off all your rights. I urge people to go look at those privacy statements. We got to toughen up here and say, you know, we need tougher privacy protection than what we're being offered.
You know, the interesting thing, Eric, is that when you use these little cards, whether it's at Target or at the drugstore, I mean, I think people overlook the privacy angle because they know that they're potentially saving money, right?
Absolutely. The privacy issue is a worthy cause. It needs to be examined. It's a tough one, but it's really important that this type of analysis, this type of research is not universally stigmatized. Predictive analytics leverages data. Organizations are piling up amazing piles of data that's just exploding. It's extremely valuable. And the reason is because it enables all sorts of organizations, companies, and all sorts of other types of organizations, government, crime, criminal enforcement, all this kind of stuff, to learn. You can learn to predict what people are going to do.
Yeah, but what it's, I guess the argument is at what expense for the people's privacy. So I guess the warning out there is that we should all be aware when we use those cards that they may be collecting information about us. You know, I got to get the statement in from Target. Like many companies, we use research tools that help us understand guest shopping trends and preferences so that we can give our guests offers and promotions that are relevant to them. Guests are always welcome to opt out of our marketing programs. All right, gentlemen, I got to wrap it up. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy?
I find that particular account or incident quite amusing. It's incredible as to how this father found out about this account just by marketing and promotional emails. I mean, work in a social media company, and I am particularly curious as to how many people think, and I have heard this from friends and family, saying that they believe that our devices listen to us and then they play these ads based on our conversations, or our microphone probably is enabled for it. So either raise of hands or just type in a yes in a chat. I'm interested to know if you all think it's true. Interesting. Okay. So don't quote me on this, but it is that these predictive models work so efficiently that it almost feels like these microphones are listening to our conversations, that they predict this behavior of us like bang on, and then they have these ads that is like so close to what we just like discussed about, or what we were even thinking about for that matter. uh Too good to be true. Yes. Moving over to the next slide. Something that also supports or corroborates.
Slide needs to be changed.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have 30 more minutes, Sharanya.
Thank you, ma'am. So here's another interesting example that I want to present to corroborate this theory I just mentioned. This is a recent documentary that Netflix just launched called The Social Dilemma and the impacts of social media in our everyday life. I feel it's a little dramatic, but some things do make sense, and they are a matter of concern. Let's take a look at it.
You go to
Is
Google.
that a video or audio?
This is a video, ma'am. Is the video visible?
No, video is not visible.
Okay.
The digital revolution at Target Corporation slide is stuck.
Oh, let me. Are you able to see the slide with predictive analytics here?
I'm not able to.
No.
Thank you for that. Now, are you able to see the screen with?
Yes, it's coming. Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests. That's not by accident, that's a design technique. What I want people to know is that everything they're doing online is being watched, is being tracked. Every single action you take is carefully monitored and recorded. A lot of people think Google's just a search box and Facebook's just a place to see what my friends are doing. What they don't realize is there's entire teams of engineers whose job is to use your psychology against you. I was the co-inventor of the Facebook like button. I was the president of Pinterest, Google, Twitter, Instagram. There were meaningful changes happening around the world because of these platforms. I think we were naive about the flip side of that coin. We get rewarded by hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value and we conflate it with truth. A whole generation is more anxious, more depressed. I always felt like fundamentally it was a force for good. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. Facebook discovered that they were able to affect real world behavior and emotions without ever triggering the user's awareness. They are completely clueless. Fake news spreads 6 times faster than true news. We're being bombarded with rumors. Everyone's entitled to their own facts. There's really no need for people to come together. In fact, there's really no need for people to interact. We have less control over who we are and what we really believe. If you want to control the population of your country, there has never been a tool as effective as Facebook. We built these things and we have a responsibility to change it. The intention could be, how do we make the world better? If technology creates mass chaos, loneliness, more polarization, more election hacking, more inability to focus on the real issues, we're toast. This is checkmate on humanity.
So probably we initially had some of the conversations of how the privacy has been one of the major concerns. And this documentary on Netflix talks about rather a dramatic account of some of these concerns. And believe me, organizations are really working towards it.
When you go to Google.
Moving over to the next slide, leveraging information strategy. So I want to talk about a rather interesting case study today. We are going to talk about gambling and casinos. So, and interestingly, how predictive analytics is used here. We have Haras here that I'm going to use it as an example for the case study today. And this business started, it's been there since 1937, and it has seen a rather large expansion through the early 90s. And one of the CEOs initially was Phil, and he was dissatisfied by the growth in late 90s. And then the competition in the casino industry really intensified. Then the Trump casinos came out, MGM, and so many more. And later came Gary Loveman, who was hired as the CEO and refocused the company on marketing and customers. So interestingly, Gary Loveman, he has a degree from of economics from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and he is also a former professor in Harvard Business School. And he has very different views, or rather vision of how this industry or this organization to run. And he doesn't even work out of Las Vegas as one of Hara's headquarters is situated. He works out of Massachusetts, and he is able to create some magnificent impact on this company. So Hara had initial issues here, and they wanted to differentiate from the casino business. So they had interesting models that they leverage, and I guess it doesn't take too much to guess, but they definitely leveraged information technology and systems to identify customers and to get in more number of customers. And they did face some difficulties through the process. And we're also going to see about Hara's core strategy here and why IT is crucial for the strategies, some of the challenges that they faced, and how if their marketing program is really working. So differentiating Hara from other casinos like MGMs or the Trumps of the world, so they did not use tourists to make big bets or high stake gamblings, and they found it rather expensive to do that. So they literally used customers coming in and sort of retained their existing customers to grow. And during this process, they used informations of these customers in terms of whether who's coming in, be it a man, be it a woman, whether these people have family, these people are single, and sort of getting their demographic profiling out there and then making use of it to get them back, rather than other casinos could not really get as much as an IT, the infrastructure which Hara used for information tracking in order to leverage this into their business. So that became one of the core strategy here. And to also see a new facet to their strategy was, if you go into the stores, some of them have these slot machines or interesting, I guess, entertaining factors that they add, and they keep it at rather unreachable ends or difficult locations in their department. So they use similar strategy here. So they used the slots rather in some of these not very popular zones, so that people could walk through other attractions before they hit the popular attraction. Going again, let's dive deep into what this industry looks like.
You have 22 minutes more, Sharanya.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll quickly wrap this up so that we'll have some time for discussion over here. So some of their statistics from Hara, it includes 441 commercial casinos. Their revenue was about 27 billion, and they have 300.
Slide needs to be changed.
Thank you, ma'am. So, and they had 352,000 workers working for them. This was rather a labor-intensive industry. And to see how big is the industry, it started with 1988 with about $6 billion of revenue, and today it has grown up to more than $30 billion of revenue. So let's see how many people visit these casinos, and then what are the people who come there often. So the population, Hara is largely based out of the United States, and they have population of 21 and over to be 205.6 million of people, and out of which 26% are gamblers, which is 53.4 million people. And number of visits that are made to this casinos are 310 million trips, and then 53.4 million gamblers, and in average of 5.8 trips per gambler. So if you see this graph, it has about 78.5 million people who make this number of visits in 1993 to in a matter of a decade, it drastically increased to about 162.4 million people. So drawing a parallel between this commercial casino industry, this specific gambling industry compared to the other industries that we have, this stands at about 27 billion. So what is the core product of Hara? It's basically gaming, slot table games. They also have certain recreations, which are non-gambling. They have food, they have rooms, they have whatnot. And how different can these games be? So each casino can redesign their games in terms of like physically they could be designed, they could have different technology to it, and they can have significant regulatory constraints to it as well. Seeing the cost structures, it has a high fixed cost as well as it is capital and labor intensive, as we just saw. So coming to the challenge of casino industry. So in order to compete with its other competitors, to see if a cost leader strategy works, that is, they lowball the costs of their products in order to get more number of people coming in, so that at the end they get high stakes. And how do we differentiate this offering from other casinos out there? Probably with their IT that they're leveraging today, and we'll see more into how in the next few slides. As well as they have certain entertainment and excitement that's happening. So to be specific there, Hara uses loyalty points or loyalty cards. Interestingly, what they do is they get, in order to get, not to discourage their people coming in and playing in case they lose a lot of money, they have these low stakes gifts that they give them. And then to encourage them and say that, hey, you're not lost, we are still trying to treat you better, or we are still trying to give you something for something that you lost. And from all the data that it has collected, it has literally it made some difference in their overall revenue that they would build. And seeing that differentiation with their competitors, we could see that with their IT strategy that they use as well. And taking the other examples, interestingly, with casino, it's not that it goes that great all the time. There are times where they see some downward trend as well. Here's one example where Trump Casino had never made profit really, and they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy twice. But coming back to Hara, so they have, they're situated over 12 states in the United States. They have 28 locations, over 1.8 million square feet of casinos. They have more than 45,000 slots. Their daily customers are more than 250,000 with a revenue of 4.3 billion. So you can see the stock trend here. So Hara's focus was definitely on giving its customers the best experience that they could. And then they rather tried to focus on customers who would spend more. And this was definitely a good segment for Hara because we can see how they sort of inculcated or leveraged on their customer lifetime value and retention of it rather than getting in new customers every time. And seeing the source of income for Hara compared to its other competitors out there, MGM or Mandalay, Hara's 76% of income was purely through the casinos, and 12 was from food, and then the rest was from room services and others. Whereas MGM has 48% and Mandalay has 46%. So let's see how they bind this together. So they leverage information systems and further to customer understanding and how they try to understand each customer with the different information demographics that I just recounted, whether their gender, how did they even travel to the casinos, etc. and whatnot. So they try to acquire this, develop, and then they try to retain. That's the main focus of their whole partnership and their customer interaction. And here's a formula as to how they do it and how they've come up with this technique where here LV stands for lifetime value, and then M is for margin per year, R is the retention rate, I is the discount rate, N number of customers, and C is the acquisition cost. So we can see how they use this formula in the flow chart later. Right here, as I see. So seeing this over years, they have literally had this growth where they're focused from base profit and again building onto their revenue growth, cost savings, and at the end, the price premium and the referrals. So this is how they built loyalty to customers. Interestingly, they have insurance as well. So let's say sometimes people lose themselves and gamble a lot more than what they expected, and sometimes they end up losing more. They have insurance which will cover probably the half of the cost that they lost. And not many casinos offer this, and they use this strategy to retain more number of customers. So if you have to calculate the revenue that each customer brings in, you can calculate it by number of trips into the hours that they have spent in that trip, as well as the wins that they've made per hour. So the main development process or the focus of this process is to keep them coming back in. So, and then also they use this database marketing offers, whereas refunding part of loss if they claim it between certain number of days, and then free stays at or out of town haras. That is, they have their own real estate where people can stay in, come back, gamble. So they offer these sort of discounts or attractive deals to get them coming in back in. If we see this chart, most of the time the focus is to keep them satisfied. And sometimes they introduce a new strategy which can either put it in the zone of pain, which they might lose a customer, or a zone of delight, or the strategy will work out and people will start buying in and coming in. So if we actually see the bottom 30% of people here, they eat up all the half of the profits that are generated by people who rather lose money, and then like finally the company makes revenue out of that. And coming to the glamorous or the glitz part of it, they bring in shoppers to get people. They recognize people who bring in more money and more value, and they try to pamper them as much as possible. They offer free stays for them so that they're there, and then they play as much as possible. And then these loyalty cards, where more that people play, they start to encourage them by giving them more points so that they can use it and play even more. So let's come back and recapture some of the details that we discussed about. They capture every minute details possible of every customer coming in, rather and more potential customers that they want to target. So as I said, they capture all the information, whether the person is male, female, the person has family, or the person is single, and how they visited. Did they drive? Did they fly? Uh, or did they make just one day trip, or did they do it overnight? And how long are they staying, and how often would they come back, as well as gaming information, that is, how much did they play per visit, and what were the games that they played more, and what were the rooms that they visited more, as well as preference to behavior and responses to intervention. So how did they really obtain these information? It might sound creepy, but they had their own techniques. It was through this loyalty card. They had their hotel systems. They sponsored some of the tournaments, and they got this information from them. And it's business intelligence system. So these were some of the techniques that they used here. So if we see the whole heat map of the casino, they have certain points where they'll gather more number of people coming in, called the hotspots, where probably it could be one of the major attractions, or a lot more people would be interested in this gaming. And they use techniques where the employees come in and they encourage people to play more at certain points based on how well they are playing, either where they're losing money or where they're gaining more money. And even these slots collect data or information about the user behavior, and then and this gets fed into the larger database out there. But that also comes up with its own IT challenges. It's really not easy. Yes, we have bits of data. That is, they have 30 million customers, 30 terabytes of data, and that is still growing, multiple touch points. And how do they literally put it and profile it to each user? And this is indeed one of the major challenges out there, or even make sense of the whole data that they have collected.
Sharanya, you have 10 minutes to go.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm
You
almost.
have 10 minutes left, sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So here is a flow chart of their business intelligence infrastructure that I wanted to throw light to. And how is this data mining even possible? Or what do we want to know from it? That is, how much worth is a particular customer is worth, or rather, which among a set of offers is likely to be attractive for one particular customers? How do they respond to particular offer, and what are the combinations of the games that they're likely to play? And then they have offers which they sort of release pre-offers before they come in, post-offers, post they play, and then they leave out. And this is the data about the frequency of people coming in, how they responded pre-offer, how they responded post-offer. And these are some of the highlights from Hara. So an interesting milestone with them again was in 2005, they acquired one of its competitors, that was Caesars Park Palace Entertainment, and then they thus became the largest player in the casino industry. Their revenue was about 7 billion, and their growth in market cap was 17 billion. And this is something where each player has their own strategy, and then they have their own journey sort of they come up with. And in this particular industry, it's really hard to duplicate one strategy that they are using to another company which they want to use. So here's a little bit of Hara's value discipline, and more on their customer intimacy, operational excellence, and their product service leadership. So they leveraged information on each customers, and then they tried to play by that. So thus to conclude, the triumph of digital assets over physical assets in this case. So how information technology and information systems literally played in the growth of this organization. So before I conclude, I just want to ask these questions. There are no right answers here, but based on what we just spoke about, if you want to recollect or talk about some of the things here, here are some questions if you want to pitch in or answer. I won't take more than 2 minutes, but I would love to know your thoughts on this. So let's talk about some of the factors that provide a competitive advantage to these firms in casino. Anyone wants to volunteer to answer this?
Sharanya, the business flow intelligence that was developed with the help of IT
Yes.
in catapulting the customers' base,
Mhm.
what they are interested into, how many come in, and how to capture them more.
Yes,
That could be the crucial thing. The
absolutely.
summit.
Absolutely.
And I think Tirupati sir also had a question, and I was thinking we will wait because you had some business model and you were talking about case study. I think when you were talking about TAM or something, you told about interfaces, then again loyalty points and other sort of things what are designed. When that was something very new to India in a retailing scenario, it took little time for people to trust technology.
Yes.
So it took little time for small and medium business also to accept that what is that technology can offer to them. They saw that as more as a threat, but today they look that as a simplified interface.
Yes.
So I think that way I think Tirupati sir's question would also be addressed. So
Yes.
today, even you go on streets and people just have the scan code and it just has a code and below Google Pay, Paytm, Phone Pay,
Yes.
whatnot. So it just took little time, and I think this is a nice retailing, thing. Hara's core strategy. It was built like any other retail, but yes,
Yes.
definitely in the initial days they would have learned a lot and lot of things. Even I was observing the diagram,
Yes.
business intelligence diagram. Thank you. That was a good one, Sharanya.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
think you brought in totally two different cases which most of us were not aware here. And the casino one was really very interesting for me at least.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, I think the participants, others also should speak. I know this is lunchtime and you are looking for a break, but please, the speaker is looking for some inputs. The slide shows about certain questions, points, things to ponder.
Sharanya, I just wanted to add one thing on the
Yes, ma'am.
iPhone part.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that most people go in for iPhone as a luxury, but I guess if not for luxury, it's a more secured environment. iPhone wouldn't allow anybody to. I mean, you just can't access anything over the internet without their store. So that is one of
Yeah,
the
I
most
agree.
secured environments where nothing would happen. So that is the strong reason why people go for iPhone compared to the other phones.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely yes, but I guess there are certain loopholes in the system where, I mean, even their searches or through their Google accounts, if they ever access, these are some information is definitely connected. But yes, majorly security is one of the aspects where people prefer the Apple or the Mac or iPhone ecosystem over the Android. That's absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that out, ma'am.
No problem.
Yeah, are there any questions? Yeah, somebody was speaking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Madhukar this side. Ma'am, just want to know that in India specifically, there are certain stores they still are not using any customer data, like DMart.
Yes.
They are well set structure. They have all range of products. They have a well set organized sector retail outlet basically.
Yes.
And pan India, they have around more than 30 stores right now, and still they're not having any customer loyalty and customer data usage. So how in this era of technology they're not doing and they're successful?
As far as I have been to DMart, and then I have also explored and purchased. I find that one of their major strategy is they also offer very competitive price, which other retail stores probably struggle to offer.
So they think like anyway you will come back.
Yes, they use the cost leadership strategy over there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yeah, thank you, participants. It was really nice, Madhukar sir, to, point about a nice example. And I think the session was quite interesting. We were talking an array of examples. Sharanya just made us open into a lot of other scenarios by asking questions about technology. Yeah, somebody is speaking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, just 1 minute more, ma'am. I'm just taking the under other part of this technology scenario.
Yes, sir.
One, the impact is on the adverse impact is on environment.
Okay.
That's affected badly because in 3 day, 4 months pandemic situations with lockdown, we saw a lot of pictures which was showing that this true picture of environment because of technology was not in use. All the
Okay.
factories were shut, car and vehicles was not moving. So
Yes.
that's one aspect.
Okay.
Another is ethical part.
Yes.
So ethics, we need to be very ethical once we use the technology. So
Yes.
ethical part we need to take care. And then hacking and other security systems
Yes.
in tech. Then in medical, we need to be concerned about the viruses. This
Yes.
one is we are suffering right now.
Yes.
And another is warheads. We are very far ahead of in warheads. We are destroying the earth. We're going to soon if there is a war,
Yes.
God forbid. So that is the other dimension of the technology we should be very concerned about. I think so.
Absolutely, sir. I do agree. Like there are certain good to it, as well as certain things which pros and cons, like two sides of a coin to it. So probably yes, we should definitely take the best of it, as well as rather focus on how we can minimize the cons aspect of it. And once you spoke about the ethics as well, a lot of companies are coming up with certain department or organization within them that focuses on the ethics aspect of technology, AI, etc. And soon that is definitely going to be a major concerns. So yes, thank you for bringing that out.
I had a point, Sharanya, like being a tech person, I think you were trying to touch upon different dimensions of people, organization, and society sort of things. Now,
Yes.
I think something which most of us are missing out is I hope everybody will agree with my point, at least most of you. Because of this pandemic, too much of dependency on technology as it has become. Now, what is the negative effects it is having? It could be on ergonomics. Just look at me. I am sitting here since morning 9 5, and I am getting numbness, knee pain, and back pain. And just imagine. I always think of those people who sit in a place, work from home, not moving out, and at a stretch. So, what are the other side effects? Like, I think that also should be a part of thing which an organization should consider. In Indian companies now, they're not giving us allowance for internet charges, or neither they're bothered about the health issues what we will be combating due to continuous hours of work, and we are taking back home a lot of work because technology is available. Because we work on technology.
Yes.
It's becoming too much, I felt. So somewhere there needs to be a limit. Otherwise, these sides will have, negative or other side effects in the long run. That was my point. Yeah, I
I
have put the
Yes,
feedback form.
workload has
Others,
increased.
please.
Workload has gone manifold. Yeah, that's true. Yes, I agree with you,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And ma'am, I will just
And
want to make one point.
yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Because of developing the technology nowadays, the increasing unemployment also it's more. I think you know very well, pretty that technology is developing in that moment. The employment opportunities becoming reduced. So many people they are losing their employment thing and all. So how it can be reduced?
Sir, I have an interesting take to it. I think like automation has changed the landscape of this industry over time. So yes, this has sort of limited or put a cap on some of the job, and automation has taken over. And I feel that people are adapting to its evolution and changes. So one part of it, opportunity closes, but again they find new options, or they try to upskill themselves to adapt to other things that this opportunity brings in.
Okay, ma'am. To adopting other thing means you just think about in organizational point of view, they can spend more cost for teaching as well as training and all. It will be more cost now. So once again, for in the point of organizational thing.
Uh, can you like elaborate on that, sir?
I
No,
think
ma'am. You.
he's trying to say that organizations have to, think IT as a investment rather than as a cost. Because I think Sir is trying to highlight that there's no preparedness from the organization side. So obviously it is a big burden. So how do they set budgets aside, and it will be like cost for them. I think Tirupati sir, that's what you're trying to say. If I'm wrong,
Yes.
you can still correct me. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and at the same time, you can leverage these resources into like providing a better content, or probably in supporting the whole system. So I guess that the pain of it comes from its evolution and the times that we are changing. So we are slowly transforming into a world that was where I grew up in schools where they did not use PPTs, or it was mostly just professors teaching, and then we learned from that. So today we are changing into a world that is slightly different. So I think it's the pain that comes with this transition.
Ma'am, and one more thing I
Agree.
want to make it, ma'am.
Yes,
And now the government of India is slightly motivating us, slightly influencing us to adopt the technology,
yes,
especially for making the payments as well as doing booking the cabs as like Ola, Uber,
yes,
now the cashless payments and all.
yes,
So these all the things it's going with the technology means in that moment the rural people they are not believing the technology because due to the security and all.
yes.
So how it should be overcome this?
I guess educating them would be one of the major resources. So initially, we did not see even like the usage of cell phone in these rural areas, but slowly it did come up, and then we saw so many good changes that came out of it. So I saw that the farmers were using like e-learning as one of the tools to sort of cope with some of the changes or modernization in the technology that they use for farming. So as long as they are educated with the pros of it, you can either it's a choice that people make at the end of the day.
Yeah, ma'am. That's what I want to make that. So even the farmers they're having the some application thing and all. Farmers and all maximum they're illiterate, right? So
Yes.
in that moment how it will be possible. So that's I want to know.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tirupati sir, I would just like to answer this question. My husband works with agriculture department and is an agriculture officer. And I also worked for a project called as Bhumi long years ago. I mean, that was sometime around 2000, I was also a member of the core team. I worked for IT sector for some years, and those days I did see, as a technical team member, I did see what the software can offer to farmers. And today, after 15 years, I see the benefits when my husband sits with the phone, and when he goes to the field, all he needs to do is take his phone. Earlier he would sit at home and he would tell his assistants, load the data, do this and all. But today it is like he has to go to the field, because there's a geographical identification which is happening. The farmer also has to come to the field, because his pin will come there, so both have to be present there. And a lot of tracing happens to ensure the schemes and benefits are directly going to farmer. Though I agree it is a very small portion what they get as a compensation or something, that is a really saddening part. But definitely on the agricultural farm side, there are things which are reaping benefits, but slowly. I just wanted to, share this because I'm aware about this.
Thank
Income certificate, your caste certificate, your Bhumi project, which gives you the land records. Everything is happened step by step because it really takes winning the confidence of various stakeholders while a system is created. I hope I was able to, touch upon the
Yes, ma'am.
point, Tirupati sir.
thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
a very interesting example.
Yeah, Sharanya, I think we will close the session. If you still have questions, keep us posted. We will be taking that during the networking hour. And I have yeah, I'm forgetting Sharanya. Sorry. Thank you, Sharanya. It was a wonderful and a very insightful session.
Thank you.
You made our participants open and connect with what exactly is technology for them. And I think they could go back and see what are all the things they see around, come and put those points here in the chat box. And you explained about two case studies, and I think not many of us were aware about these two cases. One was about the ARAS. It was like some sort of new inputs we were able to analyze. I think definitely those case scenarios were helping us understand, and the predictive analytics you said how the audio, analysis. It was really fantastic. So thank you for bringing in all this, knowledge for our participants. Thank you for sharing, such a wonderful set of inputs with us.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Sharanya.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,